Welcome back to Red Recapped. Today I'm going to describe an action drama movie called A Prayer Before Dawn, released in 2018. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In the opening scene, we meet Billy Moore, a boxer from England, who's all set for a boxing match in Thailand, where he's come to pursue a career in boxing. Just before stepping into the ring, Billy takes a narcotic, revealing that he's a hardcore addict. During the fight, the drug affects his breathing, making it difficult for him to perform. Despite his thorough preparation and training, his opponent delivers a devastating blow that knocks Billy down and concludes the match. However, our brave protagonist gets back on his feet and demands a rematch. In a moment of frustration, he even attacks the referee. Later that night, Billy seeks comfort at a local bar, where he meets someone who offers him money in exchange for narcotics. The next morning, Thai law enforcement officials pay a visit to Billy's residence. Hearing their arrival, he quickly hides all his drugs in his undergarments, but the police still manage to arrest him and handcuff him before tossing him onto a nearby table. Billy is then taken to the police station and charged with possessing illegal substances. The following day, Billy and several other prisoners are taken to the infamous Prem prison in Bangkok. Upon arrival, they undergo a thorough search, including strip searches and body frisking. Later, in the mugshot area, a correctional officer secretly slips Billy some heroin. After that, he's taken to a cramped holding cell, where the other inmates are making a lot of noise and shouting. Later, an officer comes to inform them about the prison rules, stating that gambling, smoking, and tattooing are strictly forbidden, with harsh punishments for violators. When Billy moves towards the crowd to fill his water bottle, a fellow prisoner shoves him. Furious, Billy gets ready to retaliate, but several officers step in and take him to a solitary confinement cell. The next day, Billy is moved to a different cell with prisoners covered in tattoos. Soon after, the leader of the prisoners, Kang, summons Billy and starts speaking in Thai, which he can hardly understand. Following a brief exchange, Kang orders Billy to do push-ups while other inmates taunt and harass him. Naturally, this angers Billy, but he can't fight back since he's outnumbered and alone. Later, the prisoners offer him a cigarette without the guards noticing. During the same night, while most of the prisoners are asleep, Billy goes towards the toilet. Unexpectedly, Kang and his goons ambush him from behind, hold him at knife point, and force him to watch their assault on an innocent prisoner. The horrifying incident takes a toll on Billy's mental state, preventing him from getting any sleep that night. The next morning, Billy is filled with sorrow upon learning that the innocent prisoner from earlier has done something terrible. Distraught, he goes to the infirmary seeking pain medication, but the officer refuses to give him any. Billy argues that other inmates get free painkillers, but the officer insists they aren't free and demands money or cigarettes as payment. This frustrates Billy, leading to a physical altercation with the officers. He even bites one of them on the neck. But more officers arrive and severely beat him. Billy ends up being thrown into a cell with a ladyboy inmate, named Fame, who helps him with his injuries. In the next scene, Billy's leg is cuffed to prevent him from getting into more physical fights. During a communal bath with other inmates, Kang's gang takes advantage of the situation by secretly lighting up a cigarette in a corner. They offer Billy a stick from their hidden stash, which he consumes discreetly. A few moments later, Billy expresses gratitude to Fame for her help the previous night with his injuries. He asks for some cigarettes, and she inquires if his family sends him money, to which he replies that he doesn't have family. He borrows some cigarettes from her and promises to pay her back once he receives money in his account the next week. Later that evening, Kang and other inmates can be seen gambling for cigarettes. Billy, in his desperation, trades his cigarette pack for narcotics. At midnight, prison officers wake everyone up to inform them that 3 prisoners have been killed. They lead the prisoners outside for inspection, and unfortunately, a police dog detects narcotics on Billy's clothes. When an officer checks him, they find a stash. Billy tries to claim the clothes aren't his and puts them on to demonstrate they don't fit him. Somehow, this convinces the officer, leading to another inmate being punished, which angers Kang and his gang as their friend got caught. The next day, Billy finds himself craving another hit of heroin and approaches a correction officer for help. The officer agrees and takes him to an empty cell, providing him with a cigarette laced with heroin and guarding him to avoid detection. Later, while in the bathroom, 2 fellow inmates catch Billy taking another hit of heroin and demand some for themselves, threatening him if he doesn't comply. The situation gets tense, but another inmate arrives and diffuses the tension. The following day, Billy is back in his cell, desperately seeking the same correction officer for more narcotics. When the officer arrives, he refuses to give Billy any drugs because he hasn't paid for them. Out of desperation, Billy agrees to do whatever the officer asks, and the latter orders him to assault the two chefs as they are interfering with his business. Without any hesitation, Billy agrees and first hits a stick before heading to the kitchen, where he beats up the two chefs, nearly killing them. After the violent incident, the same correction officer warns Billy not to kill anyone and offers him narcotics as a reward, but Billy, realizing the seriousness of his actions, declines. Overcome with guilt and despair, he goes to the shower and breaks down in tears. At night, Billy decides to do something unthinkable, but fortunately, an inmate notices his wound and quickly helps him stop the bleeding. The inmate calls for assistance, saving Billy's life. Later, inside his cell, Billy practices his boxing moves as a positive outlet for his energy and emotions. His leg cuffs are eventually removed, allowing him more freedom, and he goes to a boxing ring where other prisoners train. However, the instructor denies him permission, possibly due to his violent past. Billy visits Fame to apologize for not repaying her and requests another pack of cigarettes to give to the instructor to join the boxing team. He assures her that he will prove himself and repay her. Though hesitant, Fame hands him the cigarettes, allowing him to join the boxing team. However, in his first fight, Billy is easily dominated by his opponent, leading to disappointment and mockery from other inmates. The following day, he dedicates himself to full-day practice to regain his boxing skills. One night, Billy observes the inmates playing a cigarette betting game and decides to participate. He bets 2 packs of cigarettes and surprisingly wins. The next day, he returns the borrowed cigarettes to Fame, and they start chatting. Billy reveals he has a father and brothers, and Fame shares that she's in prison because she killed her abusive father. As they continue talking, their conversation takes a romantic turn. One day, Billy is scheduled to fight another inmate of similar strength. The fight becomes brutal soon. In the 4th round, Billy gains the upper hand with his excellent boxing skills and knocks out his opponent, securing his first victory in prison. Later, the prison warden, Prieka, who witnessed the fight, is impressed by Billy's abilities and invites him to his cabin. Prieka reveals his decision to move Billy to a new cell with the boxing team, granting him privileges. He also shares that Billy will be the first foreigner to compete in the national tournament qualifying, leaving Billy happy and grateful for the prestigious opportunity. Prieka sets a 2-month time frame for his training. Following the transfer, Billy receives good treatment from his fellow inmates in the new cell and begins rigorous training for the upcoming tournament. During a meal, the inmates share their stories, and one reveals being imprisoned for 5 years and stabbing 3 officers due to depression, adding more years to his sentence. He joined the boxing team to see his family occasionally. Billy agrees to get a tattoo on his back. As days pass, Billy's training progresses well, and his confidence improves. However, he catches Fame with another prisoner, which breaks his heart and leads him to relapse on narcotics. He vents his anger on his boxing partner in the ring, resulting in him being put in a larger empty cell. Billy spends the entire day working out and practicing. After a few days, he is sent back to the boxing team cell, where his enraged partner confronts him. Billy remains calm, apologizes, and is allowed to return to the ring with the team's support. He eventually forms strong bonds with his fellow inmates. One night, the ladyboys serenade them, and Fame's gaze towards Billy suggests she still has feelings for him. After a training session, Billy is in the bath when Kang and his gang approach him, demanding money to keep quiet about his narcotic addiction. Billy asks for some time, promising to win the match and pay them off. However, they cover his face and beat him up, with Kang threatening him with AIDS if he loses the match. Unfortunately, Billy suffers from a hernia, and the doctor informs him that excessive drug use caused it. Further trauma could lead to internal bleeding and even death. Despite this, Billy decides to fight and is taken to another prison for the tournament. On competition day, he practices with his instructor before heading to the ring. Both boxers showcase exceptional skills, but Billy takes a hard kick to the abdomen, causing intense pain. The opponent commits a foul by kicking him while he's down, but Billy continues to fight. Eventually, he knocks out his opponent with a spinning back elbow, winning the match. However, his celebration is short-lived as he collapses on the ring, vomiting blood. Billy wakes up in the hospital and tries to escape capture by running away. Realizing it's not the right decision, he returns to the hospital. Later, he's transferred to another prison where he meets his father, who smiles proudly at him. After serving 3 years, Billy is transferred to a UK prison and receives amnesty from the King of Thailand. That's all from the video. Thanks for watching, and take care.